All right, welcome back to the show, everyone. Today, we're diving deep into a topic that's frankly still a bit of a buzzword for many, but it's fundamentally reshaping our digital future. Web3 vision. Susan, Anne, thanks for being here.
Glad to be here, Paul. It's a huge topic, and I think a lot of people hear Web3 and immediately think crypto or NFTs and just kind of switch off, But there's so much more to it.
Absolutely, Susan. It's almost like the internet, but different. And that different part is what we really need to unpack, because it's not just about new tech. It's about a philosophical shift in how we interact with technology and with each other online.
That's a fantastic point, Anne. Let's start with the basics for our listeners. We had Web 1.0, which was essentially a read-only internet, static websites, remember those? Then came Web 2.0, where we are now, which is the read-write web, social media, user-generated content, cloud services. So, what exactly is Web 3.0 or Web 3 as it's often called in this lineage?
For me, the simplest way to put it is that Web 3 is the read-write-own web. That's the core differentiator. In Web 2, we generate tons of data, we create content, but who truly owns it? Who controls it? It's usually the big tech companies, Meta, Google, Amazon, you name them. With Web 3, the vision is to give that ownership and control back to the users.
Exactly. Think about it. Every photo you upload to Instagram, every post on Facebook, every search query on Google, that data isn't really yours. It's owned by the platform and they monetize it. Web 3 aims to flip that script, moving towards a decentralized internet where individual users have more agency.
Decentralization is the key word there, isn't it? And that's where technologies like blockchain come into play. Can you elaborate on how blockchain underpins this decentralization, Anne?
Of course. So in our current Web 2 model, data is stored on centralized servers owned by those big companies. If their server goes down, or they decide to censor something, or even worse, if they get hacked, it affects everyone. Blockchain, on the other hand, is a distributed ledger technology. It means that instead of one central authority, information is stored across a vast network of computers, or nodes.
So if one node goes down, the whole system doesn't collapse. And because new information is added in blocks that are cryptographically linked to the previous ones, it makes it incredibly difficult to tamper with. It creates a transparent, immutable record that everyone on the network can see and verify.
That makes perfect sense for ensuring security and transparency. But how does that translate to ownership for the average user? Like, what does owning my data or my digital assets actually look like in practice?
Well, think about NFTs, non-fungible tokens. A lot of people see them as just digital art, right? But what an NFT actually represents is a verifiable proof of ownership of a unique digital item recorded on a blockchain. So if you own an NFT, you genuinely own that digital asset, whether it's a piece of art, a collectible, or even a digital deed for something in the metaverse.
And it goes beyond just art. Imagine your online identity, your digital passport, your medical records, or even your educational certificates, all owned and controlled by you, secured on a blockchain. You grant access to whom you choose, when you choose, instead of companies holding on to all that sensitive information.
That's a powerful vision for individual privacy and control. It moves from permissioned access, where we ask companies for permission to use their platforms, to permissionless participation, where we can connect and transact without an intermediary. So, beyond NFTs, what other technologies are central to realizing this Web3 vision?
Decentralized applications, or dApps, are massive. These are applications that run on a blockchain network rather than on a single centralized server. Because they're decentralized, they're typically open source, transparent, and censorship resistant. Think of it like a Twitter that can't be shut down by a single company, or a banking system that doesn't have a single bank in charge.
And then there are DAOs, decentralized autonomous organizations. These are organizations run by code, essentially on a blockchain, governed by their members. Members hold tokens that give them voting rights on proposals. It's a truly democratic way to run a company or a community without traditional hierarchies. It's like a collective where everyone has a say.
DAOs are fascinating, really putting power in the hands of the community. So we're talking about a shift from corporate control to user control, from centralized servers to distributed networks, and from data being monetized by platforms to users potentially owning and even monetizing their own data. What are some of the immediate benefits or use cases you see emerging from this Web3 vision?
Financial services, for sure. Decentralized finance, or DeFi, is already a huge area. Imagine a world where you can get a loan, save money, or trade assets without needing a bank. The fees are lower, the transactions are faster, and it's all transparently recorded on a blockchain. It's truly global and permissionless, so anyone with an internet connection can participate.
Beyond finance, I think content creation is going to be revolutionized. Artists, musicians, writers, they'll be able to publish their work and receive royalties directly from their audience, cutting out intermediaries like record labels or publishing houses. Smart contracts on the blockchain can automate these payments, ensuring creators get their fair share instantly.
That's a huge potential win for creators, giving them more autonomy and better compensation. What about gaming, Susan? We hear a lot about play-to-earn models in Web3.
Oh, absolutely. In traditional games, you buy items, skins, weapons, but you don't truly own them. If the game shuts down or you quit, those digital assets disappear. In Web3 gaming, items are often NFTs, meaning you actually own them. You can trade them, sell them, or even use them across different games in some cases. And play-to-earn means you can earn actual cryptocurrency or valuable NFTs by playing, which is a whole new economic model for gamers.
And this concept of true digital ownership also extends to identity. Imagine a self-sovereign identity where you, the user, control all your verifiable credentials, your driver's license, passport, university degrees, medical history. No more relying on a central authority to verify who you are or what you've done. You present the verifiable proof directly.
That's a pretty radical shift, isn't it? From relying on governments and corporations to an individual having complete control over their own digital footprint. But it sounds almost too good to be true. What are some of the significant challenges or hurdles that Web3 needs to overcome to achieve this grand vision?
Scalability is a big one for sure. Blockchain networks, especially the earlier ones, can be slow and expensive. Think about how many transactions Visa or MasterCard process per second. Current blockchains can't quite match that yet. Solutions like Layer 2 networks are trying to address this, but it's a work in progress.
And user experience. Right now, interacting with Web3 often requires a steep learning curve. Understanding crypto wallets, gas fees, seed phrases, it's not as intuitive as clicking a login with Google button. For mass adoption, it needs to become as seamless and user-friendly as Web2 is today.
Absolutely. The onboarding process is still a significant barrier. And what about regulatory challenges? Governments around the world are still trying to figure out how to categorize and regulate cryptocurrencies, let alone DAOs or dApps.
That's a huge one. The decentralized nature makes it hard for traditional regulatory bodies to oversee. Who's responsible if something goes wrong? How do you apply existing financial laws to a global leaderless system? These are tough questions, and different countries are taking different approaches, which creates a lot of uncertainty.
And let's not forget the environmental impact, particularly with proof-of-work blockchains like early Ethereum or Bitcoin, which consume a lot of energy. While newer consensus mechanisms like proof-of-stake are much more energy efficient, it's still a valid concern for the broader public and something the industry needs to keep addressing.
All valid points that need serious consideration as this technology matures. So, looking ahead, where do you see Web3 in, say, the next 5 to 10 years? Is it going to completely replace Web2, or will it be more of an integration?
I think it'll be a blend, honestly. It's unlikely Web2 disappears entirely overnight, but Web3 principles and technologies will become increasingly integrated. We might not even call it Web3 anymore, it'll just be the internet. Our digital identities will be more robust, our data more secure, and our online interactions more fair.
I agree. We'll see a lot of progressive decentralization where existing Web2 companies start adopting Web3 elements. Imagine Facebook allowing you to genuinely own your profile data, or YouTube giving creators direct ownership of their video revenue streams via smart contracts. The user will gradually gain more power, even if it's not a complete overthrow of the existing system.
That's an optimistic yet realistic outlook. It's not about destroying what's there, but evolving it into something that's more equitable and user-centric. So, for someone listening who feels a bit overwhelmed but wants to understand more, what's one piece of advice you'd give them about exploring Web3?
Start small. Don't feel like you need to buy a ton of crypto or invest in risky NFTs. Maybe just download a non-custodial wallet like MetaMask, play around with a dApp, or join a DAO's Discord to see how they operate. Just dipping your toes in can really demystify it.
And focus on the why, not just the what. understand the underlying philosophy of user empowerment and decentralization. Once you grasp that, the individual technologies, be it NFTs, DeFi, or DAOs, start to make a lot more sense in the bigger picture of a more open, fair, and democratic internet.
Fantastic advice from both of you. It's clear that Web3 isn't just a technical upgrade, it's a fundamental reimagining of our relationship with the internet. While there are challenges, the vision of a more equitable, user-owned digital future is incredibly compelling. Thank you, Susan and Anne, for breaking down this complex topic so clearly today.
My pleasure, Paul. It's been a great discussion.
Thanks for having us.
And thank you, our listeners, for joining us on this deep dive into Web3. We'll be back next time with another intriguing topic. Until then, keep exploring.